out of the basement on the roof because solar is live. There it is right there. There's some of it, and we're going to talk about that at length in this video. But just to give you an idea of why I'm really excited. So checking out right now, we're 11:30 in the morning, and you can see the excess generation that I'm currently sending back to the grid, which is right now about 5,000 watts that my house is not using. And that is with some miners online right now, not a lot. And we'll talk about that more later in this video. But a couple things we're going to cover. One, I'm going to give you a walkthrough of the solar array, how much I paid for all of it, and we're going to check it all out. We'll do that first. Then I want to get a baseline reading of how much wattage my home is actually using. So we're going to go through and turn off all of the miners in the house just so I can get a sense of what that is. And then the last thing we'll do is look at what the excess wattage I have to play with and make some decisions about what miners I want to turn on. Maybe do I want to only do it during the day? Do I want to do it all the time? But to start, we're going to do a walkthrough of this system. I'll talk to you in extreme detail about all of it and why I've made the decisions that I've made. So let's get going. They are Qtron 425 watt panels. And paired with each of those is a microinverter that is an IQ8M. So that microinverter will peak at 330 watts. And the first thing you might be wondering is, well, 425 watt panel, 330 watt microinverter, why not go for the higher microinverter? These panels are just not going to do 425 watts often. You're talking ideal conditions, temperatures like lab tested performance at that point. So the decisions you got to make with microinverters is really your cost, how much more a higher microinverter will be to match the panel, along with efficiency, because if you got a microinverter that can match the panel in 425 watts, you're going to spend a lot more. And then also, when it doesn't operate for most of the time at a lower wattage, it's going to actually operate less efficiently than a lower microinverter in wattage would. And so there's a ton of websites out there that let you model a lot of data, and I spent time doing that to find that this is probably the best pairing for me, which leaves my system probably doing on average like 12,000 watts, I would think, during the sunny times, but it's still early in the season. It's April as I'm making this video. I've only had really 2 sunny days, including today, to monitor all of this. So I think that's where it's at right now, but I'm looking forward to see what it can bring in the future. So the one question you might have is, Mike, there's a lot of like extra roofing that doesn't have a panel. Why is that? Why couldn't you put solar just everywhere? Well, the reason for that here in my state is because of the fire codes. So because of the fire codes, just in case there was a fire, firefighters need to be able to get up here and have a clear walking path. So you have to have setbacks. And so that is why I don't have panels on every single area of my house, but I have the maximum amount that I could get. Here in my state, you can only size a system based on the average of your last 12 months of electric usage. And lucky for me as a crypto miner, my electrical usage is extremely high. So I could actually get a panel size that was the largest I could put on my roof. And that's what I decided to do. So 37 panels, 37 microinverters. I can't get more, even if I wanted to, because of fire code. But I am super happy with that so far right now. So they all tie together and they go back to the panel on the side of the house that feeds to 2 places. The first is it feeds to my house, to my main panel, so I can use the electricity that is being converted by the microinverters from what the sun is producing on the panel to what I can actually utilize. And then 2, it's going to the grid. So it's going to the electric on the side of my house from the utility company so they can monitor the excess usage that I'm generating and sending back to them. In my state, I have net metering, so I don't have a battery because the extra that I produce gets banked with the electric company, and I can then use that kilowatts throughout the year. If I don't use it, which is not going to happen, they'll pay me, they'll write me a check for the excess generation that's sent back to the grid. But my plan is to utilize as much excess as possible, and I'll probably wind up going above that, I think, a little bit here. So let's talk cost to all of this. First things first is I went in because I needed a new roof. My roof was at the end of its life, so it was time to do that. And I said, well, if I'm gonna do that, I might as well do solar. But if I gotta do solar, I gotta get these trees down. So there's 3 phases to this project. The first phase was to get the new roof on, which was 10 grand. 10 grand for a new roof. Next thing I needed to do is get these trees down, which were 3, I don't know, probably 3-story high oak trees, massive, 200 years old. That was $6,000 to get those down. And then the solar was the biggest part of this project, making it all together 60 grand for this entire thing. Couple incentives. In my state, there's no sales tax on anything you're doing for solar, so that definitely cut down on the bill. And then federally, I'm gonna get 30% back on my 2025 tax return for this. So I know that I'm gonna get that big payday coming up. That's gonna help with the upfront cost of all of this. And then the other thing I get in my state is just for my solar production, just for having it. I'm gonna get probably around 100, maybe 120, up to maybe $150 a month just for generating solar, just for the amount of solar that I'm gonna generate. So that'll be more money. Plus I'll have probably close to no electric bill, but that's still yet to be seen depending what I wanna do with mining. Though I made the decisions I made so that I could have extra that I can use for mining. So I'm very much looking forward to doing that. So I think that's pretty much everything as it results to the project itself. But if you have any questions about it, if you're considering doing it yourself, please leave them down in the comment section. What we'll do next is let's get inside, get a baseline reading of what my house is gonna use. We'll walk through the miners that I have on right now, turn a bunch of them off, and just see what my house uses just by itself with the things that are on 24/7. And then we will see how much extra solar generation I have right now, and then talk about what miners I might want to turn on to use that wattage. Right now my house is using a little over 5,000 watts, and that is with some miners on. You can see my solar production right there, what I'm sending back to the grid. So I want to get some baseline reading for what my home's going to use without any miners on. So let's go around and turn some off. So this is the gold shell bite. Let's power that off because that's using, let's see, 131 watts. So let's get that off. What else we got going on? I think there's, we got the 5070 right now using about 160 watts. So let's power that off. Okay, so that's off. What else we got? This is the Alio miner. Let's check that out. That's using, let's see, actually, I think I have it. No, it's not on, it's on this meter. I'm a mess down here. It's on this meter. That's using 360 watts. That's making money. I don't even want to turn it off, but we're going to. Let's turn that off. You know what? We're just going to pull the plug on one of these here. I think it's this one. Okay, so that's off. And then over here, I know we have the flue miner on. Let's get some lights going. There's the flue miner. That's using 1250 watts, so let's power that off. I think that's everything in the basement. Let's go check how we did with that. All right, so this is so cool. So we're down now to 3,400 watts, but there's more miners we have to turn off. Forgot one over here. This is the Lucky Miner version 8. That doesn't use a lot. I think like 130 watts, but yeah, let's kill that one too. I'm just gonna pull it out right there. That's off. Okay, let's go find the rest. We got the Avalon Mini 3, that space heater one. This is using a good amount. Oh, there it is, 800 watts. All right, so let's kill this one too. Just gonna unplug that. Okay, what's next? Out in the garage, I think everything is off, I think. All the GPUs are off. Jazz miners are off. Is there anything? Wait. That's using something. 266 watts? What is on? What is on over? These aren't on. What's this? Gold Shell Mini Doge 2. Okay, I didn't even know you were on. We gotta unplug you. Let's see. Okay. All right, I think that's it. That's off. Okay, we just brought my house down to its baseline, which is 2,100 watts. Wow. Look at the solar generation is 10,700 and we are sending back to the grid 8,500 watts. So my house is using 2,100 watts right now to just be a house. And that includes things like the refrigerator. I actually have probably like 3 or 4 PCs on right now. So those are using wattage to run. They're not mining, but they're just on. Other electronics like TVs and stuff that are plugged in, they're using very, very little. I have a dehumidifier in the basement that's probably using a good amount. Condensation pumps that come on and off from my HVAC system. Air conditioning is not on, so when that time comes, that'll definitely add some extra wattage. But if I'm thinking about this right with just math in my head and gut feeling, I think I'm going to have, even if I didn't mine, I would have a good amount of extra energy that I should find a way to use. Oh, the other things that are on, I'm growing the garden this year, so I have just terribly inefficient halogen lights, shop lights in there right now for the seedlings inside. So that's definitely using a good amount of wattage for sure. But anyway, I definitely think I'm gonna have some excess, even considering winter months and cloudy days, which is why I designed the system the way I designed it. So I gotta get mining for sure. So the question then becomes, what do I turn on and start mining with? My first thought is anything that does Bitcoin. So I'm gonna turn this back on. And at its max, it will do 800 watts. And I've run it lower than that, but it's a little chilly in here. So we'll get that space heater going from K&N. And I think I wanna turn back on this Lucky Miner version 8. Again, so that's Bitcoin. So I'm just taking solar production and making free Bitcoin essentially. So I think I want to keep doing that. Flu miners definitely got to go back on because it's one of the most efficient Dogecoin miners right now. So I know we're kind of just plugging stuff in I already had in. And that's just kind of the point here is that a lot doesn't change because you're still looking to be incredibly efficient. I don't think I'm plugging that Doge miner back in out there because I actually have a more efficient version of that. I have a mini Doge 3. I still got to get out of the box and set up. So I'm probably not going to turn that one back on. Gold Shell Byte is going to go back on. Everybody's new favorite miner. There it is right there. Let's get that plugged back in. And then the AE box is also making money, so there's no sense to not have that plugged in. So let's get that back online. Those are booting up right now. What else? I don't know what else to do yet. And this is where a little bit of this discussion comes in play. So I have extra to play with. And why I think not a lot changes is because I still want to be really efficient in this so that I am getting the most amount of coin for the least amount of sun, I guess, is how it works now. And with the market so down and hash rates across these networks coming down, I can get a really good yield, a lot of coin, hopefully for when it goes up in price in the future. I do want to get a GPU rig on, and I want to get the most efficient one on just to go and throw it on a spec mine, maybe throw it on Zealous, maybe throw it on Flux, maybe throw it on something else. So I have to do that as well, but there's quite a bit I'm going to work through in the garage and getting all those GPU mining rigs and mini ASICs down here and kind of figure that out. So stay tuned for a future video on that. I think that's everything I can think of right now. I got some Bitcoin being generated by the sun, Litecoin and Dogecoin being generated by the sun, and Alio being generated by the sun. So I have some more work to do to figure out what else I should mine, but actually I could use your help. Let me know down in the comment section what you would recommend I do with my excess solar generation. And if you do that, within a week of this video posting, I'm going to select a random comment and respond back to you. And I'm going to send you the hash rate from that Flu miner. It's really good. It's really efficient. I'm going to send you all that hash rate to your address for 24 hours. So you got 1 week from the posting of this video to leave a comment on what you would do if you were me with your excess solar generation. I think that's everything.